Hello. Well, it's good to be back again on your favorite show, TS, where we tell it like it is and let the chips fall where the bloody hell may. And again, we say this all the time, the truth crushed to earth shall rise again. One day I'm going to be doing a show just on the truth that we have tried to crash to earth that are rising again. I'll do just a show on that. Truth in Kwaya crash and rising beyond. We'll just do a show on it. It's coming soon. And I say again that to all the apostles of Jandam, all these Jandamites, we shall clip your wings. And I don't know if you are some of the apostles of Jandam, if you have paid attention, you start feeling, everybody knows you. When you start your Jandam, so we be Jandam. Why? Because people like me and other platforms are crashing the Jandam with the truth. And we talk today, we talk tomorrow. Anytime it comes up, we shall crash it with the truth. And like I say all the time before I go into my show, what time is it, folks? And I say, it's nation time. It's nation time. So I always say this. Nation time, we can't joke with it. We want to build this nation. And I've said it time and time again that from what I said, I see the direction in which Mahama and the NDC is going. It's like they are serious about building the nation. So, whatever happens, everything I have that I'll back it. And let me tell you something interesting. I have a lot of friends in the US, in Canada, in Germany, and we speak a lot over the phone. And the one refrain that I hear from them all the time, hey, KSM, I say Ghana, say the name I fine power. Say everywhere, America, Germany, UK, okay, and they think that the last thing they always say, oh, you hope say. Isn't that interesting? That people are very excited because they get the information that Ghana is rising, but they are hoping that we stay on the trajectory. Because knowing Ghana and knowing Modin Sani, yes, I tell you for fair, then we mess it all up. But I'm so confident that JM and his team will not mess this up. They're going to keep the trajectory. They're going to keep going. And Ghana is rising, folks. Show some love for Ghana, man. Tell you Ghanaians in Abuchi, all you are hearing about Ghana rising, it is not a lie. Of course, there are people who I call nation wreckers. Normally, when I say nation wreckers, I don't even mention any name. You say the nation wreckers know themselves. So sometimes I just mention that we know. But there's this one name that I'll mention. Nicholas Omanie Champon. I think some time ago when I was doing a gospel show called Nyamisumade, I think I hosted him, it was on radio. He had made a song called Tabita Kumo, some crazy song, and it had become a hit. So I actually invited him to be my guest as one of the talented gospel singers, Nicholas Omanie Champon. Then recently when I think Baumia was doing his, outdooring for his victory, Nicholas Omanie Champon was there. And he said something. Nicholas Utia, it was the dumbest thing. Ubia Kamamati. Nay, dumb. Nyansa bie nim Nicholas Omanie Champon. Pacho. So think and act like a grown man. You see, when I say nation records, now people don't know what I mean. Nicholas Omanie Champon was there at the Thanksgiving or whatever it is, glorifying, actually celebrating. He was very excited that Dumso, in other words, energy problems are coming back. So we should give thanks to God. You see, we are Nicholas Omane Champon, we nipa. Na inse husa, Sebio Tafrache ese Adwina Nkwajuma. But folks, let me say this. Nicholas Omane Champon, Anyon Nkwao. Did you see all the people that were around him very happy with the nonsense he was talking about? Did you see all the people around him? Those are what I call the nation wreckers. And a nation wrecker is somebody who ideally will want to see that Ghana is failing. One person who says Ghana are failing, things are so bad in Ghana that everybody is struggling. And then they'll be happy. And then they'll thank their God, whoever God that God is. No, that's when they'll give thanks to that God. Say, "Chalende must say, yedanyamia say, mumi yenyamia ye, enya must say." Nicholas Omane Champon, fire nyum. So a musician, fire nyum. Say nyama say na yenyamia ye. Na wa say the wo ye no. Sebio Tafrache, impreviasa. Nyase omwa. But folks, I'm making a point too. These are the people that I talk about all the time. That there's a whole body of people out there who want this nation to succeed. Anybody who does not want Ghana to succeed is mentally deranged. And a flat Satan to Mameki. Anybody, whoever you are, Pacho, if you're somebody who doesn't want Ghana to succeed, you are mentally deranged. But let me tell you the funny thing. Most of these nation wreckers, it's not like they don't want to see Ghana succeed, though. They'll be happy to see Ghana rise. They're happy to see Ghana youth stop crossing the desert and going to die abroad. They'll be happy to see, say, Ghanaians, now, our own hospitals, our banks, everything in Ghana has been built up to the extent, say, we Ghanaians are benefiting from it. Yes. Even the nation wreckers will be happy to see that. But the person who does that might come from their say Ukrumni. And I saw Kaya Krum Kasa. That is how stupid nation wreckers are. You love the nation, you want Ghana to progress, but you decide who must make Ghana progress. And right now, there are many of you there, like Nicholas and his gang there, saying that, hey, doing so bow. So now, what is the joy? Now we are going to go into 2028, doing so so it was you see how stupid that is? Nicholas, me mean tiny pattern. Into make us all you stupid, but the way you know, and you're stupid. We are very very intelligent person, but what you did and what you said was very stupid. Nyansa bianim, say Junsoba. It is now time to get power. This is the problem that every progressive country faces. Look, let me say something before I do the show I want to do today. Today, all I'm doing is a simple thing. I'm thanking Ghanaians that the last time we went to vote, I said this before, we voted on the right side of history. Okay? And I explained it. I say anything you do that you do on the right side of history, you never regret. Yep. The only things that you live to regret are things that you did and you didn't know or were not aware that you are standing on the wrong side of history. Sooner than later, you will regret it. But I'm saying this, that Ghanaians overwhelmingly voted on the right side of history to call for change. It was the right side of history. And so that's why everybody is saying, oh, me hope said they say like that. Everybody, even those who don't like them, who appreciate where we are going, are hoping, say, we hope at least they keep the trajectory. Everybody is hoping, except the nation wreckers. So folks, today, let me pay a little bit of attention to JM. Let me say one thing. I think Nkrumah said it in one of his books. He said, you will appreciate us more. I'm paraphrasing you, I'm just paraphrasing. He said something to the effect that you will do well to appreciate us more, not because of the heights we reached, though. Yaba be do certain heights. But the Nkrumah says, you do well to appreciate us, not because of the heights we reached, but from the depths from which we started. So tell you, if you move from here to here, yeah, why are they? But there's no big deal. If you move from here to here, you have done well, but there's no big deal, folks. But if you move from rock bottom, below, to here, is amazing. And what makes it more amazing is not the fact that you are here. What makes it more amazing is that you started from here. So let me tell you plainly, freely, when we voted for the change and Mahama took over, let me say this. The Ghana that was handed over to Mahama was here. You can be upset, but I'm telling you the truth. The Ghana that Mahama inherited was a bankrupt country. The society was practically disorganized. It was a bankrupt country. It was a banana republic. Everything was going to the dogs. So don't be surprised that many people voted, because everybody saw Sebebi Ekonede and yet. I'm kidding you not. This is not a political statement, though. This is a statement of fact. So my dear friends who were in the MPP for 8 years, let me tell you that at the time of the election, everybody knew that you had reduced this country to nothing. So I'm saying that if we are happy with where we are so far, exchange rate, brilliant. CD, getting momentum. GDP, fantastic. Name it. Inflation on the way down. Name it. Drastically. And I'm saying that, yes, all of these things are fine. But if you take it from the fact that when the inherited was not city that was doing well, they were all in the gutter. The economy, net is saying, our bonds have wrecked near from junk bonds. What are we talking about? Folks, let's be real. So if for one time in our history, it doesn't happen a lot, though, that for one time in our history we sort of see a direction and we are happy about it, why do we have nation workers who are saying, so we don't care, yeah, but destroy, so we come to power? Really? Really? Well, you think Ghanaians are crazy? You think Ghanaians cannot see? I heard this woman talking about things are going down. She was very happy. She's a baker. She says even the price of flour is going down. Except what is affecting a business is high electricity tariffs.
Last year, one flour is 740, but now it's 710. Reduced 30 cedis. The margin too has come down, but electricity has gone up. Water has gone up. First, like I can buy 200 cedis light a week, but now it's double.
And that has become one of the jandam. I've heard them say, everything is improving, things are going. Why is electricity going up?
How can the dollar come down? And you're asking me to rest because I'm okay. When I am paying 4,613 as electricity against 3,600 in 2024. You have increased electricity by 28% in 12 months.
I've heard that from the Jandamites. Electricity is going up because under your administration, you went to beg IMF. Say if you don't give us 3 billion, we will collapse. You need 3 billion, so you went to beg the IMF for 3 billion. And as part of their conditionalities, you yourself told them, that will increase the tariffs every year. Manka, mebwa. I think it's very, very interesting, right, that you're in office and you made certain mistakes or you took certain decisions for which we are suffering now, and you are the same person now standing outside of the decisions that you took, saying, look at what is happening. Have you forgotten that you took those decisions? And it doesn't matter, we're a nation. Sometimes we need to take decisions. Sometimes your back is against the wall, you need to take drastic decisions. So fine, take the decisions, but at least be wise and intelligent enough to know that the decision you took is the exact cause of the situation. But don't now stand back and start attacking and say, electricity. Please folks, let's stop that crap. Today I'm not kidding, crowd. Let's let Ghana go so that we can gain. Let me tell you something that many people didn't know. I myself, I found out, I would say practically 3 or 4 days ago. You know what I found out? I found out that the NDC set up a caucus of very high-thinking people who decided that they had to work for no pay. And the caucus were hiding, they had a place that they had rented, they were there. And they were planning everything. This was before the election. Maybe you don't know this. Way before the election, they had caucus who had formed themselves to policy think tanks. And now they are sitting down planning. I kid you not. That is when I found out that this even the original, I think James said they had 120-day contract with the people. Originally, when they were planning the caucus, they say, Charlie, and they must say, let's give him 150 days. They say when they presented that to James, James said, no. You need the 120. I'll keep my promise, say 120 days, May. So, folks, I'm saying all these things that we are seeing didn't just happen. Sometimes this is what we shocks. Hey, Charlie, within 3 months, how come such major rapid development? How come? Obaya within 3 months? Well, guess what? Long before they came in, long before they sat down, they had strategized to the point of knowing exactly what they wanted to do. We'll do a 120-day contract, we'll do this. They are planning. This is strategy. There's only one time that I disagreed with the president, and I understand why he said that, except I disagreed with him. I think he was making a statement and he said, all the accomplishments, the beautiful things that I've accomplished, I say, it's all God, though. Without God, we don't know what we could have done.
At the quick turnaround, anytime I meet the IMF officials and the World Bank officials, they themselves cannot believe, what has happened in Ghana. So Ghana has now become the poster boy, of the IMF and the World Bank. So when they go to other African countries, they say, don't you see Ghana? Look at what Ghana has done. And that's why I say, it is only the grace of God. It is only the grace of God. I mean, to bring inflation from 23.8% to 5.4% in 1 year, I mean, how did we manage that? For the first time to see our long-suffering Ghanaian currency, the cedi, that has been taking a beating over the years. Dollars have been arrested, they've broken jail, and all that. For the first time to see the Ghanaian cedi appreciate by 37% in 1 year, it's only God. It's by His grace.
I have no problem. Give credit to God anytime you want. But please also admit that work was done. You put in work, long before the elections, you have people in the trenches meeting, calculating what can we do to save our currency. The people were working. So fine. I'm saying fine, give credit to God anytime. I do. But I'm saying sometimes don't also forget to let the people know that, Charlie, sweat, motifi free. All the things we are enjoying didn't just happen to come because God loves Mahama so much or anything. No. It is because long before he came, people were sacrificing in the trenches. Yenya Juma. Let's think. Let's develop a strategy. What do we do with the money when we come in? What do we do with the economics? What do we do with this? What do we do with that? So I'm saying, way before he was sworn in, people had sat down to think, how do we move this country forward? And that's the way to do it. So as much I'm thanking God that these accomplishments are amazing, I'm saying you will even find them more amazing if you realize the depth from which they started. And I'm saying that the depth from which they started, and where they have been able to go, was not an accident. They have worked for it. Folks, and this is where Ghana, as a serious country, should be going. Free advice to MPP. You want to come and take power, and what you want to think it could help you take power is to create gendarme. Everything, give your own version. This whole cocoa thing has been so, when you listen, I want you to listen 1 quick second to what James had to say about this cocoa crisis.
I planted cocoa on the 50 acres, so I'm a cocoa farmer. And so when the price was reduced by government, it affects me too. I want to be able to empathize with farmers so that when we take any policy decision, we know that it has an effect on farmers and we feel it ourselves. If there's no fertilizer, if the price of fertilizer is expensive, I feel it myself because I also buy fertilizer. Just before I left, we have a crisis in our cocoa sector. We set a producer price for the farmer. At the time we set the price of cocoa on the international market was 7,200. We have a policy in Ghana where we give the farmer 70% of the world market price. The other 30% is used for administration, to supply fertilizers to the farmers, to provide scholarships for their children and all that kind of thing. The CD's value was 11.5 CDs to $1. After we set the producer price, the world market price has declined to 4,200. The CD has appreciated in value to 10.7 to the dollar. And so suddenly it means that for every ton you buy at the producer price, you have a gap. And so we'll be losing. And so we held a crisis meeting and we took decisions. And one of the major problems is that to buy cocoa from our own farmers, we rely on funding from outside. And you know what the collateral for the funding is, our own cocoa beans. And so you have to collateralize the beans to the financier, buy the beans and just ship them, and they pay you the international market price. So one of the key decisions we've taken is that we're going to stop foreign funding for the purchase of our cocoa. We are going to raise domestic bonds. We have enough CDs in Ghana to pay for our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds, buy our own cocoa. We don't need to collateralize the beans. I know the interesting part. We have the capacity to process 400,000 tons of those beans, processing capacity in Ghana. But because the beans are collateralized, we cannot even allocate those beans to the local processors. We have to ship all the beans outside. Now, if we buy the beans ourselves, we can take 400,000 tons out of the beans and give to our local processors to add value.
Folks, this is just I play this just so we understand that there's a certain vision. We understand that there's a certain direction. And we understand that there are many people who do not like him. They don't like that party. Fine. It's okay. It's your country. You have the right to like and not to like. But I'm saying this. Yeah, don't like him. I don't care. Opame vote for him. But don't pretend that things are not being done. Don't go out of your way, say, I'll show, say, because I'll look hard to see whether I'll find some crisis. I remember before E-Levy, what didn't we hear about E-Levy? Listen to this.
He won't pass pass it. Whatever they want to do, we will pass it at the right time. They can't do anything. We are in government. If they claim it will make us unpopular, why wouldn't they stop? Okay. Well, they know this is going to transform and change the lives of Kenyans. They know this is going to reverse the consequences of the COVID. They know this is going to put our fiscal space in the right perspective. And they are afraid that Ghanaians will continue to build their goodwill and confidence in this government. So please, we need a e-levy.
What did we hear about e-levy? E-levy was the reason they decided to cancel all toll booths, because we're going to make so much money. So
we took away road tolls, and in replacement, we have introduced the electronic transactions levy.
The tolling points have become unhealthy market centers, led to heavy traffic on our roads, lengthened travel time from one place to the other, and impacted negatively on productivity. The congestion generated at the tolling points, besides creating these inconveniences, also leads to pollution in and around the vicinities. To address these challenges, government has abolished all tolls on public roads and bridges.
Because of e-levy. And because of e-levy, we're not going to go to the IMF bill.
But e-levy remains an important platform because the country is going much more e-commerce than had ever been, and that will continue. I think we had about 1 trillion CDs worth of transactions by the end of last year, and we think that's going to accelerate. I think it gives us a chance for all of us to contribute to this Ghana Beyond Aid vision.
What happened? Folks, and people want Ghanaians to think that all of this never happened. Do you know the number of ministers that promoted this e-levy, had parties and everything, that it was the panacea to everything? You think we have forgotten that? We have forgotten that all of a sudden economy was not working, finances were not working, so let's build the cathedral for God.
And look at the history of our country. Is there not a missing jigsaw in the economic development and the greatness of Ghana? Can't you see that something is missing? What have we not done? The things you're asking finance minister to do to save the city, what haven't we done since 1961? We've done and done and done and done, and it's still missing.
Will be built as a monument to Elohim, so that our country will be saved, because our country needs salvation. Can't you see? Africa needs salvation, and that salvation is going to come from God. That salvation is not going to come from economics. That salvation is not going to come from statistics. That salvation is not going to come from engineering. That salvation is not going to come from law. The salvation may take the effect of engineering, but the salvation must first of all come from God. The Lord must look upon us with mercy. That's what we need. The Lord must look upon us with mercy. So those of us who have common sense and are on social media and are writing, why is the president giving 25 million and this and that and talking plenty, and the cathedral is going to cost you to lose elections? No one will lose elections before.
And chop plenty money. And abuse the intelligence of Ghana and say, you see cathedral. You think that has been forgotten? Ghana, we are that forgetful. You know? So folks, I'm here to say this, that we stood on the right side of history when we decided to change. And do you know what I call the second coming of JM? I call them, this is the second independence for Ghana. Yes. I call this the second year. The first independence was fought for us by Kwame Nkrumah. We all know him, and very soon we'll name the airport after Kwame Nkrumah. I'm from Accra. I hear they've just sent the bill to Parliament. As of bills, it can be amended anytime. So from now on till the bill gets there, I'm going to crusade that. Let's amend the bill. You're from the Kwame Nkrumah International Airport. Umpo, yabre.
nipa bonifo ya ni dinda airport so kotoka ya dika ka kire mu se wo man ya yesi yan glorify ku enso ya airport a international airport a obia ba wo bewura mu no enipa wo tu Kwame Nkrumah true coup d'etat ane ye de ne din ato so se enye nipa bonifo a ye hypocrite a ena no mama didie yesi ya ba agene so nkrofo esi mo anye ne so enso mo de Kwame ayi kotoka din na ato airport so e wa bra ye wo figure like Kwame Nkrumah out of political pettiness.
So let's move on. The first independence was fought for by Kwame Nkrumah. And it was fighting against the colonial powers, the imperial powers. It was fighting against those who were placed in a position to exploit us and do all kinds of damage. And he stood and fought and fought and fought and fought. And he did his best to bring about a pan-African Africa where we cared for ourselves. He called for African having one currency. He called for the African High Command. I don't want to talk about the things Nkrumah did today, but I'm just saying that the first time we fought for independence, the president that was championing independence had a pan-African outlook. Our independence doesn't mean anything unless it is linked up to the success of other African countries.
Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent.
Now I'm saying this. All of a sudden, we the people vote on the right side of history. And what we didn't know we were doing was that we were actually voting for the second independence of Ghana. Yeah. Under Kwame Nkrumah, it was the British that we were afraid of. Under JM is the looters and the corrupt, the thievery that are destroying this country. And that is what we voted for. So for me, this sounds almost like JM is like almost, this is our second independence. And the resemblances are very fantastic. When I listen to JM now, he is just gradually, almost by default, becoming the go-to leader in Africa, just like Nkrumah was. He is soon to become the chairman of the African Union. Can't you see his speeches now? How he's calling for unification, how he's looking at Africa to come together. When you talk about fighting for reparations and everything.
I speak conscious of the weight of our continent's unfinished struggle for justice and equally conscious of the extraordinary moment in which we are, a moment pregnant with possibilities for historic redress. Our gathering here in Addis under the theme Reparations, Memory and Sovereignty is not routine diplomacy, it's a solemn moral convocation. It's an affirmation that Africa's past is neither forgotten nor buried beneath centuries of distortion. It lives in our collective memory. It breathes in our cultural expression. It echoes in our demand for dignity. For too long, the story of Africa was told through foreign lenses. Our sacred objects, our royal regalia, our ancestral artifacts, our ceremonial relics were not merely removed. They were violently severed from the spiritual, intellectual, and civilizational ecosystems that gave them meaning. The great Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey reminded us, he said, a people without the knowledge of their history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Restitution, therefore, is not symbolic, it is civilizational repair. It is the healing of deep historical wounds. It is the restoration of agency. It is Africa narrating her own story on African terms. Ghana has initiated the process to table a resolution at the UN General Assembly in March this year, seeking global recognition of the transatlantic slave trade as one of the gravest crimes against humanity. Let it be said that we transformed memory into policy, that we converted the grievances of our past into a collective strategy, and that we turned our history into sovereign action. Let us not defer justice. Let us not postpone dignity. Let us act, and let us act together. I thank you.
It has almost assumed that Pan-African level that Nkrumah started. So here's this. Those who criticize Kwame Nkrumah say, oh yeah, we know Ghana too, all those lies. But that's what the gendarme keeps saying, that Nkrumah took his eyes off Ghana. You can't say that about Jim. Because we see the visible things that are happening, folks. We see it. So to all of you who are in gendarme, looking for ways that you can find to crash this movement, you have a tough job, because it's not one person you're going to crash you. You have to crash all of Ghanaians, because Ghana folk who say, Charlie, some difference has come. And trust me, I'll be the first to say Charlie, they be a mekon. Missy Nyakachi and the dorsum simply means no matter how much we will celebrate and jump, no matter what, the amount of work left to be done is 10 times, 100 times bigger and more tedious than what we have done already. You know? But Mahama has been able to put Accra as the center for thinking progressive ideas for Africa. This whole thing called Accra Reset. Why Accra? It's pushing the name Accra into the lips of every African. And it's talking about resetting the economy, resetting our thinking.
That is what the Accra Reset is about. I say by 2030, there are not going to be any raw mineral ores leaving Ghana. You're not going to ship manganese ores out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship bauxite ore out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship iron ore out of Ghana raw. You must process all that locally. That is the only way we can provide opportunities for our young people. Our young people are not as patient as our generation. They want to see that progress and prosperity today. And that is why Accra Reset has that urgency that we need to implement in order that we stop our young people from braving the dangers of the Sahara and the Mediterranean to try to get to Europe to look for opportunity.
Such a tough job. It has been started, but still, but all I'm saying is that these are the kinds of differences that we see now. And that is why, for me, I am begging every Ghanaian, let's support this movement. And Mr. President, when things like this come, some of the people who are likely to draw you down and or be stumbling blocks, you'll be surprised. There'll be some of your closest allies that you believe in. Some of the people that you trust, that you believe in. These are the people who will get into cahoots with those who do not like you to make sure that they crush you. Because there will be something that they have promised them. Like they promised, they say, people promised the Ghanaian soldiers that overtook Kwame Nkrumah. Masha, let's not joke around though. This is 2026. The world has changed. And if we Africans do not know that we are playing on a different field, and it's time for us to assert ourselves, assert our dignity, assert our sovereignty, or we'll be messed up. Please. Look, this cocoa crisis, you think this is the first time it has hit us? Let me tell you something. When Nkrumah planned the 7-year development plan, or how I was going to transform Ghana and do this and do that, industrialize everything, it was all in the 7-year development plan. Agriculture, atomic energy, everything. The year he launched the 7-year development plan, guess what happened? Before I tell you what happened, Ghana after that time, everything was cool. Foreign money, cool. Foreign exchange, cool. Ube de cool. Ede young crowd Ghana. Ube shata de cool. Cocoa was the main foreign exchange end. The minute Nkrumah launched the 7-year development plan, that year, go and check your books. Cocoa prices took a dip. That's the thing. We grow the cocoa. Yeah, cocoa, no, we do everything, but we do not decide how much we sell it on the world market. And if you don't know that, then I'm sorry for you. We all know. When it comes to international trade and the prices, we do not decide, say, we have grown our cocoa, Ghana and Abidjan, we have come together, this is how much we're going to sell it. No. They decide how much they're going to buy it. So when Nkrumah drew up his 7-year development plan, making the noise and everything was so hard that Ghana was going to shift into a new gear, they cut the cocoa prices, say, boom. So, what's cocoa? Diwade. And so one of the reasons that these world powers used to cripple the 7-year development plan was the cocoa price. Yeah, manipulative price, no. And affected Ghana, say, boom. So if you're seeing crisis over cocoa prices and things, don't think that these things haven't happened again. Just take your time, breathe. Say, this is what we promised the farmers. Send their kind. But we do not, up to now, still control those prices. So the prices are, we were expecting a share, we didn't get that price. So that has been a magnificent blow to the farmers. And I understand their pain, the work they've done to be told this, boom.
The world market price has dropped significantly from the average of 7,200 tons to 4,100 per ton, making Ghana's cocoa beans uncompetitive and creating liquidity challenges. To address this, the Producer Price Review Committee, PPRC, met this afternoon under my chairmanship to assess the challenges facing the sector and review the producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop year. In order to cushion the farmer, the PPRC has recommended that the farmer be paid 90% of the achieved gross FOB of $4,200 per ton, to mitigate the adverse impact on the farmer as a result of the fall in the world market price. As a result of that, the PPRC thereby announces that effective today, Thursday, 12 February 2026, the new producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season will now be 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton and 2,587 Ghana cedis per bag. This measure has become necessary to reflect the reality of the world market price of cocoa, ensure the injection of immediate liquidity for expedited payment of farmers, and guarantee the sustainability of our cocoa sector.
So on a certain level too, I say, hey, if you're a leader and you're basing your thing on a commodity like this that you don't control the prices, be careful what you put out there. That's what we are facing today. And this is what the plan is, Charlie. How do we face this emergency? Listen again.
Just before I left, we have a crisis in our cocoa sector. We set a producer price for the farmer. At the time we set the price of cocoa on the international market was 7,200. We have a policy in Ghana where we give the farmer 70% of the world market price. The other 30% is used for administration, to supply fertilizers to the farmers, to provide scholarships for their children and all that kind of thing. The CD's value was 11.5 CDs to $1. After we set the producer price, the world market price has declined to 4,200. The CD has appreciated in value to 10.7 to the dollar. And so suddenly it means that for every ton you buy at the producer price, you have a gap. And so we'll be losing. And so we held a crisis meeting and we took decisions. And one of the major problems is that to buy cocoa from our own farmers, we rely on funding from outside. And you know what the collateral for the funding is, our own cocoa beans. And so you have to collateralize the beans to the financier, buy the beans and just ship them, and they pay you the international market price. So one of the key decisions we've taken is that we're going to stop foreign funding for the purchase of our cocoa. We are going to raise domestic bonds. We have enough CDs in Ghana to pay for our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds, buy our own cocoa. We don't need to collateralize the beans. I know the interesting part. We have the capacity to process 400,000 tons of those beans, processing capacity in Ghana. But because the beans are collateralized, we cannot even allocate those beans to the local processors. We have to ship all the beans outside. Now, if we buy the beans ourselves, we can take 400,000 tons out of the beans and give to our local processors to add value.
You know, so the 7-year development plan, Charlie, part of the reasons it got crippled and said we could not execute just because of cocoa price. That's why those of you who remember the show that I did, I'll repeat this show, Accra built so many silos in Tema. We see silos be brave. What did he say? When we buy the beans from the farmers, let's store them in Ghana. Let's not be in a hurry to buy, sell. Let's store them so that we can control the product on the market, and then we can start calling our prices. We are facing cocoa crisis again, and of course, Jandam, it is up to you now to convince the farmers that what is going on is a deliberate action because the government doesn't like you.
1, 2, and more yenti. What is your so na fe de ode be sheka? Ebusuafo ade ba ko penti na yate ye koko so. De enti yate koko ni so nyina ne se abai we anton ye koko no embra na nkese so ye dan. Oton no. Enti neni so te no no na eka no so ebo no so ate ayedan aba fam. Ama koko na ka eside mu. Enti me no ka sei me ne wo koko na ye ton ma abai na nkese abai de kwajiska man no abo no so. And our case demu, and to me a day, and ton. Now, instead of so beji atum, now on when we say, on no one who the Jumaye, and see Uncle Pesca met you a cano, or say woman, and so a day. What's so castle?
It's a plus for Jandam. So cocoa has become an issue again. Here to my free advice to the government is actually make sure that we can kill this aspect and decide on who controls our prices. So I'm very happy when I heard John Janapo in Parliament trying to explain how the Jandam of this crisis is being carried out. Let me keep quiet for a second, listen to John Janapo.
Government should go and borrow and pay the cocoa farmers. That is what they've been advocating for. Mr. Speaker, it is this same borrowing that our colleagues took and eventually landed Ghana in the state of bankruptcy. At least history will teach you that when you are a landlord, it's better to provide food every day than to provide jollof rice one day and starve your children for the rest of the days. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing is simply attempting to balance the equation and give the farmers what is due them. I heard a ranking member say that you should forward sale. Forward sale is an element of hedging. But as you are forward selling, whoever is buying it is also forward buying. And he says that, look, we knew that the price will go low. So because the price will go low, sell the price or sell the produce today. If you are a buyer and you know that the price will go low tomorrow, will you buy it today? No. This is common tribe knowledge. This is common tribe knowledge. So this attempt at forward sale, it doesn't work. Mr. Speaker, when we left office, we had a complaint from the then administration that the debt was 19 billion. You told us that it was not sustainable. Did you not say that? Today you've taken the debt to 36 billion and you think that that is sustainable? If 19 billion was not sustainable, how do you think that 36 billion is sustainable? You had 8 years to deal with the situation. One, you reduce the tonnage because your revenue is a function of price and quantity. Even when the price comes down, on your revenue and your quantity shoots up, you will get that revenue. And so if you reduce the quantity from almost 1 million to about 500,000 and you couldn't even syndicate the loan and you leave such a burden to the NDC administration, and we are taking pragmatic steps to solve the problem, the least you can do is to commend the Mahama administration. If you can't do that, excuse me, Mr. Speaker, you shut up. This attempt to politicize this cocoa issue will not wash today.
We're back. John, thank you. Thank you. You know, people must understand certain things, because when people are ignorant, it is very, very easy to miseducate. So I'm saying this, and I've said it before. This is our second independence, which means let us not allow the international jandam and the tomfoolery that the international played on us to be able to uproot Kwame Nkrumah and destroy massive things. People sit on TV saying, Constitution. I don't even want to go into that. You know, we have just to decide that we are dying someone like a someone. So it's okay for those, forget it. But all I'm saying is this, folks. We sat down and allowed forces that were opposed to the rise of Africa, the sovereignty of Africa. We allowed these forces to corrupt our own people. And they did to Kwame Nkrumah. Not only him, we did that to Patrice Lumumba. Not only him, we have done that to several African leaders. Mahama, Russo, I don't think you are so immune, because your own people will sell you out. So please, I beg, everybody that I talk to that does not live in Ghana, the thing they ask me is, KSM, Yatise, we have heard, and I say, yeah, so far so good. And then they end by, let's hope it continues like that. So JM, let's pray it continues like that. He says, God, fine.
At the quick turnaround, anytime I meet the IMF officials and the World Bank officials, they themselves cannot believe, you know, what has happened in Ghana. So Ghana has now become the poster boy, you know, of the IMF and the World Bank. So when they go to other African countries, they say, don't you see Ghana? Look at what Ghana has done. And that's why I say, it is only the grace of God. It is only the grace of God. I mean, to bring inflation from 23.8% to 5.4% in 1 year, I mean, how did we manage that? For the first time, to see our long-suffering Ghanaian currency, the cedi, that has been taking a beating over the years. Dollars have been arrested, they've broken jail, and all that. For the first time, to see the Ghanaian cedi appreciate by 37% in 1 year, is only God.
Whichever God brought you this far, I pray that that God takes you to the end of where you want to go. Because folks, like it or not, this nation is rising again. Oh. We did it at our first independence, but it was thwarted. We have come again, we want to do it. So there's more work to do. Let's find out wherever Nkrumah went wrong, wherever the structure did not permit, and support that this time, this our second independent, will lead Ghana to becoming the giant that we have always been. Have you heard that poem? There's a poem by Maya Angelou. Those of you who Google can Google it. It says, it's called, "And Still I Rise." And he talks about the oppression, he talks about everything that is happening to pull her down, but she comes back to the chorus, and still I rise. There was a jingle way back there at Radio Gold. It was in Ghana. It said, Afefe, she's still watching number one. Afefe, you know. So let me end on this note, Jim. And I'm hoping Ghanaians will back me that I'm a Fefe, she's still. This second independence must succeed. And Ghana, in fact, is rising again.